morning. Welcome to the Good Life Meditation for today. I have 6 objectives and 20 principles. The first objective is to always be ready to die, to have all my affairs in order, both practical, familial, and artistic. Next is to make good and effective use of time, and not waste my time, not pass my time, not spend my time, not just fritter it away, but utilize the hours and minutes and seconds in useful ways. I only get so many and only one chance. Next is the cultivation and development and maintenance of good life principles, to make good operational objectives and principles that guide me in my daily activity, and to remind myself of these each day, which is exactly what I'm doing now. Next is to cultivate good emotional reactions, to react well to the circumstances of the day, to get myself into a state of equanimity early in the morning, and maintain that balance throughout the day, no matter what comes. Next is perform good actions, just do good things through the day. And then finally, to recognize true limits and true opportunity. What are the things that I really can and cannot do? And then find a balance between those and work out a critical path, a line forward towards my goals. Excuse me. Sorry I'm going fast, I don't have much time. Next is 20 principles. The first is the principle of war, to wake up each morning to go to war with everything I hold dear. 2 is principle of reason, and the sub-principles of objectivity and honesty. Reason is the instrument of that war. I use my critical ability to discern truth from falsity as a way to find my faith forward, to hold only true things as operational parts of my life, and to discard what is false. 3, the homunculus, the little man that lives behind my eyes, so to speak, not really, and that will wink out when I die. It's just a reminder of my mortality, and that my functioning, my consciousness is nothing more than another organ of my body, so to speak. A very unique and interesting one, though. Next is the home of good and evil, number 4. Good and evil reside with the homunculus. They're my opinions and my perspective on what is right and wrong. And it's up to me to develop and maintain these. I should not align myself necessarily with dogma or tradition or authority. Of course, unless they're right. But then I have to evaluate it through reason again. Just can't rely on those things. Next is purpose, the principle of purpose, number 5, and the sub-principles of biology and virtue. Biology is, of course, the natural science, but I use that word to mean the mandate from our genetics to stay alive and make more of ourselves and then die and get out of the way. After that, I have to design my own purpose, and I decide my purpose is virtue, to live a virtuous life, where virtue is the pursuit of objective well-being for all living things. Very touchy-feely, that one. Next is 6, the atomic principle. Everything in the universe is made of bits and pieces, flowing and changing and forever transforming, and so too you and I. So I have to remember that what I am ain't going to be around for much longer. Next is principle of nature. Everything in the universe has some nature. You and I do as well. And it's good to know what our nature is, and the nature of our fellows, and the nature of all the things and all the circumstances that we live through and live in, so that we can operate in a more true and objective manner. Next is the principle of maturity. Sub-principles, wisdom and fortitude. Maturity is that state of having experience and being able to utilize that experience to make better informed decisions in the future. Fortitude is the ability to push through what we don't want to do in favor of what we know is better, using our wisdom, the strength to utilize our wisdom. Next is the social principle, number 9. Human beings are social animals. We need one another to survive. It's good to pursue social ends as one of our objectives. That's an end of virtue in my worldview. The most virtuous actions are social actions. Next is the Feast of Offal. Feast of Offal is the result of living an unprincipled and undisciplined life. We give off anger and upset and frustration and emotions, and we spill those out into the world and contaminate others who get upset and do the same. And we end up with having this great feast, almost like just feeding off, excuse the imagery, but feeding off each other's vomit. And it makes all of us sick and just carries on. So I tried not to, one, shed that offal of my own, to try to contain it within myself by maintaining a balanced life, maintaining my equanimity, keeping my even keel, and then two, not consuming the offal that others or myself give out. Number 11, temperance and the sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy. Temperance is our ability to control our consumption of anything and everything, including our emotions. Suffering is a product of that, or a part of that, because we suffer when we deny ourselves what we want. Simplicity is also a part, because if we live a simple life, then we are living by nature, almost by definition, a temperate life. And if we and apathy is important as well, critically important, because apathy is what allows us to recognize what is and what is without our scope of control, and identifying that is key to maintaining peace. So if I know the things that I can control, really the only thing I really can control is my reaction to the world around me. And once I recognize that that's the true scope of things, wow, that really opens the door to peace. Now, next is 12 is agency and the great indifference. All living things are agents. Subtract out the living things and you're left with the great indifference. The great indifference is the landscape of the universe without sentient life or life of any sort. Just doesn't give a damn. Number 13 is the best seat in the house. To not want to be anyone else, be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but to be okay with just who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing, while all the while trying to make things better. This road is bumpy. Next is the Path of Wildness. Path of Wildness is a trick to get unstuck. You've got a goal, an objective, or some decision that needs to be made. You allow ourselves some time to think about it and then make a decision. And if we need more time, then give ourselves more time. But don't keep on doing that forever. Eventually, because you can literally do that. You can think about things. You can while your life away thinking about things. Eventually, it comes time to make a decision. And if you don't have all the facts you need, then go ahead and allow yourself to be informed of your gut. There's some virtue in moving forward, even if it's off the edge of a cliff. Now, next is the risk of avoiding risk. There's surface level risks on life, or not getting enough education, a good enough job, or finding someone to spend our life with. But there's also deeper level risks, and that's not becoming a well-rounded, experienced, self-actualized, gosh, is that a real word? Individual. What I mean by self-actualized is someone that is able to engage themselves and live like almost like an autonomous, in a way, autonomous individual, able to make decisions for themselves, of themselves, independent largely of the greater influence. There's a lot of us that have to operate as kind of an interconnected element, and of course we all need to be doing that, but to a greater or lesser degree we can be autonomous. And it takes some autonomy to live that adventurous life, that self-realization. So I recommend going after both the surface and the deep level risk to whatever degree you feel you need to. I think you'll enjoy a better life. Certainly more interesting. Next is, well, it depends on how you define interest. So some people don't look at that stuff as interesting, they look at it as scary. So next is what is it? After the risk of avoiding risk comes sin and damnation. 5 sins in my worldview. They're all the same thing: falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, and dogma. I usually touch on each one in turn. Faith is the scariest one of those because it masquerades as a virtue. Faith, people tell one another that if you just have faith, then all things will be all right. And faith is, by definition, belief in the absence of evidence. It is evidence of things unseen, which is a non sequitur. It's a non-starter. I mean, what is that? So watch out, because basically it's a shortcut to get you to a place that you didn't earn your spot in. It's like when I made all that money on the stock market and it didn't do the hard work or effort to make it myself, and I wound up someplace I didn't deserve, and in the end I lost that. Next is and the damnation part is, that you're damned in my mind by living a life believing things that aren't necessarily true, or can't be proven to be true, at least, despite our feelings. Next is a complete oblivion. When we die, everything's wiped out. Our homunculus winks out. Consciousness is gone. That means that there's no reunion with the ones we love after death. There's no reconciliation if we die and leave issues unresolved. And there's no final justice if there's no lawgiver, justice giver in the afterlife. And no chance for us to do the same. We can't come back as a ghost and haunt our tormentors. So to deal with those things now. Don't go haunt your tormentors now, but seek after justice. Seek after reconciliation and reunion. You'll be glad you did. I'll be glad I did. A lot of this is just I'm admonishing myself, right? So next is great life adventure, which is that opportunity in life to live an interesting, dynamic life to whatever degree you're interested in, tolerant of, and to come out the other end a fascinating, well-rounded, dynamic individual with a lot to say and do, and a lot to say, and a lot of interesting stories to share at the cocktail party. I think your life will be enriched in direct proportion to the amount that you invest. Although you may die early, or get crippled, or have something bad happen by virtue of misadventure. So be careful of that. But is that such a bad thing either? To die early in a well-lived life, I wouldn't be such a bad thing, unless I haven't fulfilled my responsibilities to my family. That would be a bad thing. So that's why I'm careful when I go to the wilderness. Next is sin and oh no, I already covered that one. Next is I'm almost done. A season of philosophy, a time in our life to record what we've learned along the way, to get it down, set it down for the sake of our children and our children's children and anybody else that might care to listen. So the thing is, there's this curious thing called the Muse, which I don't think is of course I didn't make that name up. The Muse is all usually thought of as a mystical spiritual thing. I just use that as a convenient word to describe the creative force that arises in my mind sometimes and allows me to put down into paper words that are quite different than I could normally get down. It's curious how that arrives at times. It's almost like a creative whirlwind. Wow, look at the snow on the mountain. It's Mount Baldy and it's Mount San Jacinto over there. I've been on top of those. And when the Muse arrives, if I don't write it down, I can't postpone it. It's not like I can say, let's put a pin in that and I'll write down those words later. I better write it now. So I keep a piece of paper handy, my blog handy, whatever it is, and write it all down. I recommend doing the same at every stage of your life. Even though at the stuff you look back at, maybe I shouldn't say that, the stuff you look back at later in life, wow, gosh, so reckless, that young man. Even if it seems like it's kind of silly, the stuff you wrote in younger life, I think if you look at it in the big picture, it appears to be very worthwhile. It's almost like versioning up or building up a story of your life. And then, and also watch out, because if you wait too long, you may lose the capability to do that. Your body and mind may fail to the point that you're not able to do that. Now, last one, arena and utility. Life is an arena for the development and maintenance of these principles and objectives and your own, or whatever else you value, and then which hang like tools on a tool belt at our side, and we're always at the ready. And I find that by doing this every day, by reciting it, and literally, and it's even strengthened more by reciting it out loud, and then even more by recording the video, and even more by the virtue of the fact that I upload it to YouTube and share it with the world. I'm doing that for selfish reasons, guys and gals. I do this because it makes me do a good job. I would have been done with this within 5 minutes, probably 3 minutes, if it hadn't been for the camera. So and not just that, it'd probably been about the same if I told myself I wasn't going to upload it. But because I'm going to upload it, I do a good job. And see that building right over there? Not the Jack in the Box, the one behind it. That's where I'm going to spend my day. Well, I do spend time in the Jack in the Box too. And I'm going to spend my day there today, and that day is going to go better and more productive by virtue of the fact of what I just did. The things that I just covered in my mind out loud, I didn't cover them in my mind, I covered them out loud, are going to be right there in my head. I'm going to go into meetings in some of those windows, and I'm going to be sitting in there, and I'm going to have fortitude right at the ready. Temperance right there. Examining the nature of the circumstance, the meeting, the people in the room, all of it right there. Apathy, waiting for me to use, it's all right there, invisible to anybody. Nobody knows that I have these little tools. Yet they see, I'm sure, they see the result in my demeanor and my effort at keeping focused, and also even just when I'm sitting alone in my little cubie, the resolve to focus on my work, to not waste time, to make a good effort, to make every hour that I pass there a worthwhile one for my employer to have. Good morning. This is the value of these things. This is part of the reason that I do it. What's the other part of the reason? Well, part of the reason is to make good use of this time, to live a good life, to be even if I die and pass into anonymity, to have given a good turn to the wheel the best I can with whatever energies I've got. I feel better about it. See, this little guy on my thing. He's smiling and holding on, just hanging in there. It's the difference between hanging in there with a smile on your face and hanging in there with a frown or a grimace. Find by trying hard, I can hang in there with a smile. Hey, you've got a job. Kind of reminded me of that now. So pull the helmet off. Thanks for joining me again. I hope you all have a great day if anybody's out there, and make it a good life. Take care. Peace out.